The silence of 1978 wasn't empty. It was heavy. It was real. Today, silence is just a signal loss. If you remember the sound of silence before the internet, you know it wasn't just quiet. It was freedom. Let's talk about a very specific kind of exhaustion. It's the weight you feel at 8 p.m. when your phone buzzes on the coffee table and your stomach drops just a fraction of an inch. It's the creeping dread of being reachable 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You live in a world where you can instantly text anyone you've ever met. Yet the friendships often feel paper thin. A group chat is not a conversation. Like on a photo is not a connection. You are constantly communicating, but rarely communicating with substance. And strangely, despite the endless noise and the hypervisibility of modern life, you've never felt more invisible. You are drowning in a loud world that demands your attention every waking second, demanding a reaction, demanding an opinion, demanding you stay plugged in. You are tired, deeply, functionally tired. And you probably think you know why. You might think you're just getting old. Society has a narrative for you. It tells you that you're becoming the grumpy middle-aged person who simply can't keep up with the times. It tells you that nostalgia is just a side effect of aging, that you're romanticizing the past because your joint hurt, and the modern world is just too fast for you. You've been convinced that your exhaustion is a personal failing, a sign that you are becoming obsolete. That is a lie. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. Your brain is like an analog radio receiver, trying to process a high-speed digital signal. It's not broken. It's just tuned to the wrong frequency. You were built, wired, and raised in an analog reality. A world of friction, a world of weight, a world where things took time. And you are being forced to run your analog nervous system on modern digital software. Let's look at the psychology of what actually happened to us. If you grew up in the 70s or 80s, you were likely a latchkey kid, but this isn't about romanticizing neglect or danger. This is about the psychology of unsupervised freedom. In the analog era, your brain experienced something crucial that no longer exists: transition time, otherwise known as boredom. When you walked home from school, you weren't listening to a podcast or texting. You were just walking. You stared out of the smudged windows of your parents' station wagon for hours. You sat on your porch doing absolutely nothing. Psychologically, boredom was the incubator for your resilience. Those empty hours allowed your nervous system to process the day, to daydream, to rest. Your baseline resting state was calm. Today, that transition time has been assassinated by the smartphone. Every spare second is filled with fast, cheap dopamine, waiting in line, sitting at a red light, using the bathroom. There is no void anymore. And because of this, your nervous system is in a state of chronic overload. Human beings were not biologically designed to process 10,000 data points, global tragedies, and social microinteractions before breakfast. Furthermore, we shifted from living in a community to performing for an audience. In 1985, your mistakes, your awkward phases, your thoughts, they evaporated. They belonged only to the people in the room. Today, everything is recorded, measured, and archived. The psychological safety of anonymity is completely gone. Think back to a Tuesday afternoon in the summer of 1982. You pushed off the heavy kickstand of your bicycle. You rode 3 streets over, and the moment you turned the corner, you vanished. You were entirely untethered from the world. Your parents couldn't reach you. Your teachers couldn't reach you. The news couldn't reach you. You existed only in the physical space you occupied until the streetlights began to hum and flicker on, signaling you to return home. Think about the privacy of the coil cord on the kitchen landline, stretching it into the hallway closet just to have a private conversation. Think about the tactile patience of fixing a jammed cassette tape with a pencil. Everything required a physical action. Everything required time. Compare that to the modern leash. Today, your phone acts as a tracking collar, an inbox, a newsroom, and a panic button resting right against your leg. You are never truly away. If this resonates with you, you aren't alone. We are building an archive for the last analog generation, a place to understand the psychology of where we came from and how to survive where we are going. If you belong here, you are welcome to subscribe. Because here is the truth you need to hear today. You don't hate technology. You don't hate progress. You just missed a piece of being unreachable. We cannot time travel. We cannot put the genie back in the bottle, but you can remind your nervous system of what it feels like to be analog. Tomorrow, try a small experiment. Leave your phone on the kitchen counter and go for a 10-minute walk. No music, no step tracker, no safety net. At first, your brain will panic. You will feel the phantom vibration in your pocket. You will feel naked. Notice that discomfort. Acknowledge it. And then, as you turn the corner and realize that the world hasn't ended because you are disconnected, notice a profound, heavy relief that washes over you. Notice the silence. We were the last generation to grow up looking at the sky instead of a screen. We learned how to be alone with our thoughts. And we built a quiet strength in the shadows of those long, unsupervised afternoons. I'd like to hear from you. Down in the comments, tell me about a specific memory from the 70s or 80s, a sound, a smell, or a specific moment of that unsupervised freedom that you missed the most. I read them all. That loss of analog freedom is also why our modern relationships feel so fractured. In our next video, we're going to explore exactly why being connected 24/7 is actually the biological reason you feel more alone than ever. Until then, take a deep breath, unplug for a while, and remember what it feels like to just be.